Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We are thrilled to be with you to talk about the recruiting trends and insights in IT for 2024. My colleague, Pranav Ramesh, is here. I am Tulika Mehrotra. We are excited to share our findings with you. It's going to be a roller coaster going forward. We're going to be talking about AI, how it's impacting recruiting, artificial intelligence, and generative AI, and remote work. Everything that impacts the future of work is also prevalent in the IT industry. So I'm going to hand it off to Pranav to tell you a little bit more, and then we're going to dive right in to what we see up ahead. Pranav?
Thank you, Tulika. It has been a paradoxical year in IT. And as you said, before we go on to the coming year, we should take a look at the year we've just had. So one important trend that we saw continue to rise in 2023 was remote work. Hybrid and flexible work models, which we first started on during the pandemic, are still very much here to stay. We've seen falling employee engagement levels, so-called great resignation that we had at the beginning of the year, followed by mass layoffs, and then now this new demand for talent that we're seeing kind of shows how mixed this year has been when it comes to IT recruiting. AI adoption has grown. I mean, AI has exploded onto the scene, with generative AI being everywhere over the last year. Large language models, everyone's developing one. Everyone's using chatbots now. And of course, in recruiting, we've always had AI, and it's gotten better. DEI, unfortunately, was a bit of a mixed bag. And that kind of harkens back to what we said earlier about employee engagement levels. Employees across the board have expressed a greater need for diversity. Yet DEI initiatives have suffered some setbacks. The recent news about affirmative action being closed down by the Supreme Court in university campuses is, I think, indicative of how up and down it's been with DEI this year.
Right. And Pranav, I hear you on that. And I think what we can expect in the coming year is a lot of a continuation of what we've seen, right? So there is a further rise in the automation in recruiting. So AI's role has expanded from resume screening, which is very basic and foundational, to much more complex tasks like analyzing candidate responses. The pay transparency is set to be the norm. We have seen the report by PayScale in 2023, where it links transparency to higher employee satisfaction and smaller pay gaps. We know that Absolutely. Even though, as you said, DEI was a mixed bag, it's about to take center stage. McKinsey's report this year in 2023 shows diverse executive teams are just by far much more profitable. And then we're going to see the entry of Gen Z, which is projected to be 23% of the workforce by next year. That's huge.
And it's connected back to what we said about DEI, as
Absolutely.
we see in a minute.
Absolutely. And then the last thing, just as a high level, flexible work is here to stay. Gartner had a report in 2023 survey that predicts 60%, more than half of our knowledge workers will be remote by next year. So let me hand it off to you, Pranav. Can we go deeper into the automation in recruiting and how that adoption will continue and amplify?
We've seen AI in recruiting grow. We've been watching it grow for some time now, but going forward, it's going to become integral to recruiting. A recent survey in 2022 found that 67% of hiring managers use automation tools. That's a huge percentage of the industry, and that's only going to grow because of how key a role AI and ML play when it comes to even basic tasks like sorting resumes, conducting candidate assessments, which are all very central to how recruiting works. But we're going to see it taking it further. We're going to see candidate experience getting better with AI. We're going to see data handling. We're going to see time to hire reducing significantly. We're going to see the quality of hiring that recruiting companies do, and also hiring managers for major employers do. We're going to see the quality of that hire get better. AI tools are now able to assess skills, technical and soft skills, and even by extension, help recruiters determine whether or not a candidate is a good fit, not just for the role, but with that organization itself. And this AI market is going to grow. in 2024. By the next 5 years, I would say the AI recruiting market, just as a sector, is going to grow to be about $1.2 billion in worth. There was a recent projection made which said that this market is going to grow every year, year on year, by 7%. And this growth is being driven by the kind of digital transformation we're seeing across industries in many other areas as well. Naturally, the growth of AI in recent times is going to help hugely, but also this need for efficiency that we have, this need for better candidate experience, this need to improve diversity. There is an argument to be made that AI candidate assessment reduces bias in hiring because it's being done by an objective third party. And all of these factors are going to contribute to helping the AI recruiting market grow enormously in 2024 and in the years ahead.
And I would say that the speed of growth and the evolution of these technologies is so fast and so rapid at this point that any hiccups that we've seen that have potentially been a reason not to use them, they're going away. They're falling by the wayside very quickly. So
Absolutely.
Let me dive into pay transparency. So this is huge. So pay transparency is viewed as essential for workplace fairness and equity. States like California and New York require salary range disclosures in job postings, and this is expected to become standard across the board in 2024. And so this is going to aid in closing gender and racial pay disparities. I know we have a long way to go, but this will help. 10 US states right now have passed pay transparency laws, and more are expected to follow. And then pay transparency laws aim to combat wage discrimination. So there's an opportunity to promote workplace equity. Harvard Business Review had so they had a study in 2023 that linked pay transparency to reduced gender pay gaps. And at this point, if businesses don't adopt these new norms, there's just going to be a natural talent shuffling where the workplace will not be as competitive, right, for those enterprises. So can you talk a little bit about upskilling and continued learning?
It's going to be important. I mean, that just to put it very simply, because, and this is a projection that I think we've been taking very seriously here at PTP, and I think everyone else should, which is that 44% of worker skills are set to be obsolete by 2030. That is the speed at which technology is advancing right now.
Wow.
A lot of the jobs, a lot of the roles that we've been taking for granted may not be there or may not look the same as it did right now in about 10 years from now. So upskilling and continued learning is going to be very essential. It's going to be essential for employees as they look to build their careers, but it's also going to be something that they expect to see from employers. Even the World Economic Forum has emphasized this need for workforce upskilling. It plays across two dimensions. One is that it's going to be crucial to build employee engagement, because people, as new employees come in and as they see these new technologies come in, they're going to want to be able to participate in them. They're going to want to know and feel confident about using these new tools. And so giving them upskilling opportunities is going to keep them engaged with not just the work that they're doing now, but the work they're going to be doing 5-10 years from now. But it's also going to be important for retention, because these employees whom you've invested in, whom you've helped upskill, these are the employees who are going to take your company forward again a decade from now. And I think it ties into the next point, which is remote work. Tulika, could you tell us a little bit about how remote work is going to change in the company?
Yeah, 100%. And then coming back to your last point about upskilling and continued learning, there is a general fear in the workforce that their jobs will become redundant. And we are saying that, yes, they will. But it's not a matter of replacement. It's a matter of augmentation, right? Like these tools are becoming assistant types of services, right? That we can have our teams become much more efficient and able to work on things like strategy and creative work, as opposed to some of the more mundane things that took up a lot of our time. So there's an important nuance there that needs to be underscored. So as we get to remote work, so the pandemic's influence on remote work and flexible work is absolutely enduring. There's benefits that have been documented, which is employee satisfaction, cost reduction, and then a wider access to talent, whether that's domestic or global. Companies are really going to have to invest in remote collaboration tools to maintain productivity, and it can't just be the basic. They're really going to have to start to get more advanced. And then 90% of companies that are planning return to office policies will likely end by the end of 2024. At this point, what we're seeing is that 98% of remote workers prefer maintaining current work status, and there doesn't appear to be a drop-off in their productivity. So what I would say is that companies need to start to balance what their return to office with employee preferences for remote work looks like, or again, back to the reshuffling. Talent will go to where there's a best fit for their needs, as well as where they want to take their skills. Pranav, do you want to add to that as we get into contract and freelance work, which is sort of an extension of this topic?
I think you brought up that very point that's going to make a big difference in the next year, which is that 90% of companies want remote work to end or to be reduced in some way, and 98% of remote employees want the status quo to be maintained. It seems like we are heading for, I wouldn't say conflict, that's too strong a word, but yes, certainly a reshuffling seems to be potentially on the cards.
Well, and those stats are just diametrically opposed, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I can't say with any certainty how exactly this will play out. But if you're looking to go into the next year, you have to be doing some rebalancing. You need to be working through your return to office policies to see what works best for your workforce, because it's going to be interesting. And coming from remote work, I guess, to contract and freelance work. We've had contract work for a long time. We've had freelancers who've been around for a long time. But this is a trend that was accelerated during the pandemic and accelerated during the period that we're calling the Great Resignation that sort of followed the pandemic, where people did not want to be tied to one organization, to one geographic location, to one limited set of opportunities that they were physically able to access. So there's been a renewed interest in doing work on a freelance basis, in doing short-term and medium-term contracts, working project to project. Over 90 million freelancers are expected to be working just in the US alone by 2030. And I think that's going to make a big difference in the coming year, because it's going to mean challenges in legality, legal structures, policy frameworks, and corporates are going to have to restructure the way they work to some extent in order to accommodate these freelancers. So Tulika, we've just looked at some of the trends that we're anticipating in 2024, especially in IT recruitment. What do you think businesses should be doing to leverage these trends to their advantage?
Yeah, so thank you for that, Pranav. So we've kind of been through the ringer, right, in the last few years. So at this point in our analysis and what we have looked at, it is really, really important that businesses should leverage in-demand technical and soft skills, right? You need to aim for data-driven decision-making and talent acquisition. There needs to be a real focus on acquiring global talent. And Pranav, what about AI? What should businesses do for that?
AI, we've said it's going to be huge. So you want to try and find ways to incorporate it into your operational structure wherever you can. It's going to make you more efficient. It's going to help reduce costs, and it's going to help make your processes faster. Another point I think that it's important to mention is commitment to DEI. We spoke about it earlier. It's important. Businesses need to commit to DEI, and they need to commit to employee engagement and well-being if they want the best talent coming to them.
Absolutely. Yeah, and then let's get into the technical skills that are most in demand. Yeah. So what does that mean? What are the pillars that are going to be most in demand? So let me dive into artificial intelligence. So AI skills in high demand are in data analysis, machine learning, and predictive modeling. LinkedIn's 2023 report showed an increase in AI-related job postings, which is no surprise, but it was significant. very, very significant. Every industry is getting impacted by this tidal wave of artificial intelligence. Pranav, can you dive into cybersecurity, because that is obviously going to be a side effect of all of this automation and digital revolution?
Absolutely. AI, we're seeing AI tools being developed that help make better cybersecurity tools, but also maybe make better cybersecurity threats. With the introduction of cloud computing and cloud data management, we're going to see cybersecurity become very important in the coming year. Network security, threat intelligence, ethical hacking, all of these are going to become very important in the coming year, and we're going to need talent to help serve these sectors. The US Bureau of Labor Statistics projects that the cybersecurity industry is going to grow by 24-25% just within the next year alone. And that's not including the uncountable number of jobs that are going to be created.
Absolutely. And that's not surprising at all. So that helps pivot us to cloud computing. The skills that are needed in cloud services like AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud are massively in demand. There's going to be a need for scale, right? So the key for cloud computing and scale is data storage, collaboration. And then Gartner reports that in 2020 reports that there's going to be significant growth across the board in cloud services. So that industry is going to show significant growth as well, which of course is going to lead to more jobs.
More jobs and more data. When we talk about all these tools, one of the biggest things that they're all going to be doing is gathering data on how your organization works. Demand for data analytics and data analytics skills is going to be huge because you need it to make informed decisions. You're going to need people who can skilled in data visualization, in statistical analysis, in data mining. So if you're short of data analysts, you're going to be in trouble.
So let's get back into the artificial intelligence space. There's actually 600% increase in those job postings just in the last 12 months. And now that number is huge, but it's not in any way surprising at all. And this surge reflects the rapid expansion in healthcare, specifically finance, retail, and transportation. Right now, it's really centered. These AI roles, what do they entail? They're really centered on creating new tools and integrating with existing legacy technologies. So that involves enhancing systems with AI, such as CRM, supply chain management, shifting from AI as a standalone solution, which can get very expensive, to an integral part of your business technology. And this is going to require professionals that are skilled in AI and its integration into the various different business functions. So coming back to cybersecurity, let's talk about the cost.
The average global cost of data breaches is now $4.3 million, something around there. A lot of money being lost every year in just losing information to these criminals, to these cyber criminals, these hackers. We're seeing this again across industries. And we need businesses to be investing significantly in cybersecurity measures, for which they're going to need the talent and they're going to need the team.
And I think the emerging areas that we need to highlight is cryptography and AI-driven threat detection. Cryptography is vital for securing communication and data. And then AI algorithms are key in detecting anomalies and creating a proactive threat response once the threat has been identified. So what about the importance of some of the different technologies that are in use?
Yes, so we've seen DevSecOps and AIOps kind of become more important, and it brings together the 2 points we've made about cybersecurity and AI. So site reliability engineering, which is something we specialize in here at BTP, we know that AIOps plays a crucial part in helping make that better, making the SRE processes better. Any company that has an online revenue model, that has kind of data stored on it, that uses the cloud, that uses IoT, is going to need DevSecOps and AIOps to protect their transactions, to keep customer trust, and to keep business running smoothly.
Right. Yeah. So beyond the technical skills, which as we've identified are critical, I mean, foundational, basically, we really do need to focus on soft skills as well. So what is one of the most important things? I would say adaptability, right? There needs to be the ability to adjust to changes in technology, the strategies and market dynamics. Without that adaptable mindset, there's going to be conflict because things are just changing too fast. There was a survey by LinkedIn in 2023, which emphasized employers' demand for resiliency and flexibility. So it wasn't really an option, right? And this is on an individual, like a professional's point of view. It's really just crucial for an individual success to have that kind of organizational agility, right?
I guess a key part of adaptability will be problem solving.
Yeah.
Being able to identify issues, analyze them, and then find out a way to solve them. I think the reason for this is that it's important across all levels of the organization, whether you're an entry-level employee or you're right at the top.
And I would love to underscore that point because we're now in an environment where generative AI or any of these new tools are able to do those most basic tasks, right? So that frees up the talent's ability to do the important things like strategy and problem solving. So in the past, there may have been sort of a buffer and leaders were, required to really, top down send directions and initiatives. But that's not really the case. It's now at every single level. And so that leads me to my next point, which it feels like common sense, including problem solving, including flexibility. You also need to be able to communicate effectively. Right. And this is
exactly,
this is absolutely critical for clear information, like to be able to convey with active listening and with empathy, to be able to tell a story. So without the ability to communicate what the initiatives are, what the direction is, it's just going to have a domino effect across the board if you're not doing it right. So let's talk a little bit more about data-driven recruiting. What does that mean?
Data-driven recruiting is, well, I guess it's like data-driven anything in the business world, which is you make your data work for you by telling you what are the best possible decisions you could be taking under any situation. You look at the data you've accrued in that particular area, then you use that to make better decisions. Again, we're talking about AI a lot today. We're going to talk about it again a little more because AI is going to be very important to make accurate data-driven decisions. AI has the ability now to analyze the data and predict what kind of hiring needs and what kind of staffing problems you're going to have in the future, and then help you plan for them.
We had spoken about this earlier, but in the past, if people were using any kind of tools, it may have been, for resume screening. Right. But now the candidate matching tools, we have a proprietary technology called Gabby, and it is an AI-powered tool. And it really allows us to go further, faster, and more efficiently. It enables HR to focus more on candidate engagement and then really enhance recruiting efficiency. So let's talk about the building of global talent pipelines. So nearshore and offshore recruiting has become a major initiative and highly emphasized already, and it will continue in 2024. So this is necessary to be adopted for access to a wider talent pool, and there's major cost advantages. So it's not only nearshoring and offshoring will not only help us save money, give us access to talent, but it's also building a follow the sun model where you're able to have a workforce around the clock. The main thing that will be required in order for this to be successful is that communication technology is going to have to be key in overcoming the challenges and integrating these remote teams from a culture standpoint as well. So to that point, if we're expanding, Pranav, can you talk to us a little bit about the global project development?
As you mentioned, follow the sun models are very cost effective, and they help enhance any company's ability to develop and maintain their software. But for a long time, being able to go global with your project development was limited to a few very big players, multinationals, and the kind of revenue streams that they had. But with bettering communication technology, with internet, with AI, we're going to be able to see smaller companies kind of getting in on the game.
Exactly. And Pranav, I think you make a really important point there. There's a level of cultural appreciation that will be required, right? And project management. So to that point, let's talk about onboarding with AI tools. We really need to talk about preparing the organization and upskilling the workforce for AI. There has to be an actual cultural shift in our mindset and a focus on workforce upskilling. So that's required. This is not something that's going to be optional. Whether you're Gen Z or a millennial or Gen X, it's just across all levels. There's going to be a requirement for training on AI capabilities, ethical considerations, and human AI collaboration. And then finally, upskilling, which we have said again and again during this presentation, it's just going to be key. It's the key.
It's so important.
So important to evolve with these AI-enhanced job roles and processes. So, Pranav, yeah, go ahead, please.
We can take this AI integration much beyond just the recruiting stage. We've
Right.
spoken about it, but there is so much more to it. It has the potential to enhance your sales teams, your marketing teams, your customer service. We are already seeing that, chatbots, etc. But also sales, marketing, and operations. You can personalize your marketing with AI. You can optimize your supply chains using predictive analytics. It's going to make you more competitive. It's going to make you more innovative. It's just going to help you grow much, much better.
I would love to shift over to the diversity and inclusion conversation. And Pranav, if you can share some commentary on the HR initiatives for that.
DEI is evolving from just being this sort of HR initiative, this nice to have, into a core business strategy. And I think, and if it hasn't evolved, then it needs to be evolving, because there's a lot of people wanting that, a lot of employees, a lot of new entrants to the workforce who want this from their employers. And there are so many benefits to it. Diverse teams are known for boosting creativity and innovation, for bringing different perspectives into the conversation. Companies, the anticipation is that companies are going to invest more in DEI initiatives, because not only to make their employees more engaged, but also to help grow their business and to help them represent the customer base better. 53% of US workers today consider DEI as an important point when it comes to choosing where they're going to work. Tulika, you recently spoke on the American Diversity podcast, and you spoke about this very subject and how new workers are being influenced to invest in DEI. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point, 53% of US workers consider DEI to be important. I mean, that's huge, right? So millennials and Gen Z are prioritizing diverse and inclusive work environments. They need to see themselves reflected in the workforce. And that's just going to be a part of the future of work. Again, McKinsey's report showed the higher profitability of diverse teams, and then the focus on DEI strategies for higher employee engagement and creativity is going to be a major focus for all HR directors and chiefs that are focusing on this. So let me talk about Gen Z a little bit more. So by 2024, we've already discussed that they're going to represent almost 25% of the workforce. So they're going to be huge. They're going to be massively represented, and their needs are going to be, verbalized. So Deloitte's 2023 research shows that Gen Z values diversity, sustainability, and ethical practices. Companies are having to adapt to this in order to attract them by focusing on this kind of work, on sustainability and inclusivity. And that doesn't mean that they're able to just check the boxes. So Gen Z is incredibly perceptive. They need to see authenticity. They can see through the greenwashing. So Gen Z's digital proficiency, and that leads right into their digital proficiency, which drives corporate adoption of advanced technologies. Their serious investment in flexibility and purpose-driven work is changing the way that enterprises are even hiring.
I just want to underscore that point that you said about authenticity. I think when you say Gen Z can spot a smoke and mirrors act, it's absolutely true, and they're very good at it. And they're exposed to enough information that they can tell the difference.
Well, and as digital natives, even if they're not sure about something, they're able to verify, cross-check, they're able to find the resources that maybe weren't available just a generation ago. So just a year ago. Let's bring the focus back to employees and really figure out what is necessary to make 2024 successful for the workforce. It's really employee well-being. So the focus for organizations needs to extend to mental, emotional, and work-life balance. Like the idea of implementing flexible work and mental health programs and wellness benefits. It's not, again, just a nice to have. It will impact the productivity and the employee engagement of the workforce, of the employees themselves, which ultimately will lead to a more profitable year. So let's talk about that consideration for Gen Z as well. Pranav, can you share?
For Gen Z, because of the experiences that we've all had over the last few years with the global health scare and with the kind of disengagement that we've all felt from not just our workplaces, but our society in general, Gen Z workers are going to be coming into the workforce with an added emphasis on employee well-being being central to their work experience. We've spoken about DEI and how important that is to Gen Z employees. I think we need to kind of restate that a little bit here. Businesses, I think, should be encouraged to integrate DEI deeply into their practices and culture and start implementing effective DEI strategies if they want to attract these young people and if they want to foster innovation in their workplace.
We are really excited to see what's going to happen. It's been a bombshell year with regards to what has happened with artificial intelligence. And seeing as that's been a pillar for our organization, we've been really able to see it right on the ground. So it's been a fascinating year. We expect 2024 to be another one of those really big years with the adoption of a lot of these new technologies and the way that the workforce is going to upskill accordingly and learn to adapt and communicate and work with. We don't see AI being a replacement tool, but it will most certainly make us all move a lot faster. So thank you for joining us today, Pranav. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure sharing our insights, and we look forward to connecting with you in the new year. Thank you again.
Thank you.